Hey, how's it going? The Praxic Blade is probably one of the most fun exotics we've gotten our hands on in Destiny 2 for a long time. It's decently powerful, the first of its kind is a kinetic sword, and it's super customizable, letting you pick out a hilt and choose your Kyber Crystal's colors along with many other features. But what if we could customize it even more? About a month or so ago, I tweeted that I wanted us to be able to change the way we can hold the Praxic Blade in Destiny 2 Renegade. And ever since that day, I've thought more and more about how cool it would be to see even more types of lightsabers in Destiny 2. So today I'm going to be designing 3 types of lightsabers I'd like to see come to Destiny and talk about their history in the Star Wars universe. Don't worry, you won't need to know much about the Star Wars universe to understand this video, but if you hadn't heard of a Kyber Crystal until this moment, I don't really know what to tell you.
Oh, okay. I have no idea who that is. I'm a fake fan.
Anyways, let's get to the video. Stick around to the end as well, because the third one is probably not one you've thought of yourself. Now to clarify, when I say I'm going to be designing new lightsabers, I'm going to be taking 3 lightsabers that aren't your typical lightsabers used by Jedi or Sith, such as Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader, no single-handed weapons, and I'm also not going to be creating a lightsaber that is single-handed but uses unique combat forms throughout the series, such as Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress's disarming form, or Form 2 as it's commonly referred to. I'm also going to be going into this with the assumption that these weapons would be more like ornaments for our Praxic Blade, but they would have custom animations that match up to damage. Maybe a couple extra features. That's not to say these weapons couldn't be their own exotics, but I think realistically we'd only see that in maybe a Renegades 2 Palpatine Electrocutes You DLC. What I'm more looking for is things like our first lightsaber here. The Shoto lightsaber. Okay, technically we're going to be looking at dual-wielding lightsabers, but that's the easiest way to label this. This one loosely falls into our category, but come on, surely I wasn't the first one that got their lightsabers and thought, how cool would it be to be able to wield 2 of these? The Shoto lightsaber was a lightsaber specifically designed shorter for smaller members of the Jedi Order. However, the Shoto saber was also used by Jedi who specialize with dual-wielding lightsabers in combat, using the Shoto saber like a real-life Tanto, a blade samurais used in conjunction with their katanas. The twin blade style was most famously seen with Ahsoka Tano, Asajj Ventress, and in non-canon also known as Legends, Darth Revan. Anyways, how the hell would something like this work in Destiny 2? First up, customization wise, I think this would be a selectable feature in the Praxic Blade screen. In the ornaments section, you would select the option to wield a second lightsaber. From there, you would select the second saber's hilt and Kyber Crystal. In canon, most Jedi and Sith would wield sabers that were identical with their hilt and Kyber Crystal, but I'm gonna be honest, I just want to cosplay as Darth Revan, who had 2 completely different sabers. You can also select whether or not you want your other saber to be shorter in case you want to embrace your inner Ahsoka. Anyway, I think that in-game these sabers would work with you alternating between the sabers with each swing, and then the heavy attack you do it over the head swing where you strike with both at the same time. I think this heavy attack works better rather than hitting them in a fan pattern with both sabers, as to not get confused on damage to hit ratio. Anyways, the big problem I see with this saber is the throw animation. I don't know about you, but if I saw a lightsaber being thrown at me in the Crucible and the guy who threw it still has their saber, I wouldn't touch that with a 5-foot pole. My solution for this is simple. When you throw the saber, you randomly throw one of the 2 sabers and disengage the other. Simple. Anyways, we have another slight problem, the block animation. While it is possible to block with both sabers, as with the normal saber we still only block with one hand, I really don't want to be blocking with 2 sabers as my Guardian looks like they're breakdancing with salt and pepper shakers. So I have a 2-part fix that will also apply to another saber in this video. I think when you block with a double-bladed saber, you should put the 2 sabers to the side, and only when a bullet is about to hit you do you raise the saber to deflect. In PvP, however, you keep one saber at your side and spin the other as if it were the default saber. This keeps it somewhat fair for the Crucible, as otherwise you'd have no indication someone's blocking and you could easily fake them out with it. Anyways, with all that said, for each of these sabers I also designed a hilt and Kyber Crystal like the ones in the game. For each I designed the hilt around a style of technology in-game similar to the ornaments you can get for the Praxic Blade already, and the Kyber Crystal is designed to accompany the hilts, but not all of them are as fleshed out, I'm afraid. For our Shoto saber, I decided on a pyramid theme, considering that the Praxics already used the pyramid technology in their temples. It seemed like a pretty good fit. While designing this, I took inspiration from Rolk's Glaive, Lubre's Ruin, and the ornament for Ergo Sum Final Dictum, as well as, and I only found this out recently, that this has a name, Night Terror. Nezarek's Scythe. As for the Kyber Crystal and Blade, this one might clash with some people as we already have a similar crystal in the form of the Taken Crystal or the Darksaber Crystal, but I made a crystal based on resonance that has a yellow inner glow and a black outer blade that illuminates the center yellow color. The crystal itself is also very simply themed after the final shape, with the segmented pieces and multiple colors seen when the witness performs the final shape on Earth in the opening cutscene of the DLC. And voila, our Shoto saber. Next up we have the double-bladed saber. The lightsaber was first created in canon by a Sith named Exar Kun to be able to fight multiple Jedi at once. This blade is most commonly seen with characters such as Jedi General Pong Krell, almost all of the Jedi Temple Guards, Savage Opress, and most famously Darth Maul, my favorite character in all of Star Wars. Yes, I'm basic, I know. A modified version of the saber was also standard issue for the brothers and sisters of the Inquisitorius, with some exceptions such as the 10th brother and his Shoto lightsabers. The Praxic Blade ornament would have the additional feature of letting you choose the Kyber crystal for each end. While in Star Wars canon this isn't a common feature, it isn't impossible either, as a Sith Lord in Legends named Warb Null, what a name, had a lightsaber that has a red end and a green end. Though neither can be ignited at the same time, I'm still going to allow it because of one simple fact. It's cool and I want it. In-game, this lightsaber will replace its light attacks with jabs from each end. Then for a heavy attack, I think it would do an overhead spin and then bring it down with one side that cuts the enemy. I decided this for the heavy attack rather than a spinning motion or hitting it with both ends, as it would make it uncoordinated with damage to hit ratio if it's an ornament for the blade. The block would be very simple, spinning the blade in both hands from the center. No changes needed for PvP. Same goes with the throw. If all these animations stay the same though, what would be the point of having it? Well, that would be the unique animation it would provide with your class ability. When dodging with the Hunters, using any dodge besides Acrobat's dodge or using Mask of Bacchus, you dodge with the same cartwheel spin Maul performs in the Phantom Menace. For Titans, when you use your barricades, thruster enjoyers, you perform a slam animation with the saber to summon the barricade. And for the Warlocks... Okay, for Warlocks I was kind of stumped. I thought about using the Force Wave that we see Savage perform in Clone Wars, but I feel like that's a bit lazy, but to be honest, it's really all I have. And as for our saber design, I originally was going to go with an Omolon-inspired saber, but my buddy Ant mentioned the idea of a Vex-themed saber, so I shifted to that. The design is based off the weapons from episode Echoes with the strange gold finish of Vex Mythoclast and some Wyvern Wing tendrils sprinkled in there. For our blades, I was a bit stumped here too. The two main sources of inspiration were inactive Vex gates and the red particles, but the problem there is we already have a red crystal. I also wanted to try a Radiolaria one, but we have a white crystal, so here's what I came up with instead. I decided to showcase this blade's multicolored capabilities by making two Kyber crystals for it. One is a light blue crystal based on the Vex network and the exotic Vexcalibur. The blade itself also has the motifs. The other, I stuck with the red Vex holograms, but I made the blade's shape more like a Vex construct rather than a solid saber. The crystal is also themed after the Vex Hobgoblin's main form of weaponry. Now, realistically, I don't think we'd ever see anything like this in-game. The craziest looking sabers are the multicolored crystal from the store, and the dark saber kinda looks like a bubble column. That's likely an effect of the color. But to be honest, I don't care, fight about it in the comments, lol. But there you go, that's our double-bladed saber. I was stuck on this for a while. There are a lot of sabers I could draw on from a lot of different parts of lore, but not many of them really fit with this sort of vague rule set I set for myself. The light whip, while cool, would be a nightmare to face in PvP and probably to understand in PvE. The lightsaber pike would probably fit best, but honestly it would probably look like a third-person glaive, and the throw animation I think would be awkward. It's more fitting as its own weapon. Blades like Kylo Ren's saber and Stellan Geo's crossguard sabers would probably be better as an ornament for our current saber, same with Dooku and Ventress. But then, I found it. While working on thumbnails for other videos, I watched many episodes and series and came upon the perfect lightsaber for our final ornament. Ladies and gentlemen, the final saber I will be designing. Our last saber is an interesting one. The series Star Wars Visions brought us a series of non-canon episodes exploring ideas and concepts in the Star Wars universe. One of those episodes, titled Ronin, gave us a samurai-style fight between two Sith in a 3D black and white art style reminiscent of old samurai movies like Seven Samurai. Both Sith had unique lightsabers in their own right, with our main antagonist Koru having a lightsaber that could be placed into a tall parasol-like object to project her saber out of many points of the parasol. And the other, which will be our main focus, the Ronin himself. He had a lightsaber that was broken. The lightsaber could not be disengaged, so to combat this, he created a scabbard for his blade made from the hollowed out saber hilts of other Sith he had killed. The catch, however, was that the bottom of the scabbard still works like a regular lightsaber. This saber is perfect. It would provide enough unique animations to count for our new set of blades without changing the model to an extreme degree that is no longer a sword. How does it look in-game? I believe that we would hold it either the same way as our Praxic Blade, or, for added flair, we keep it at our side like holding Quickfang. For basic attacks, I think it would be interesting to incorporate many parts of the weapon into our swings. When we swing the blade initially, we use the scabbard, then our second swing uses the bottom of the scabbard with the working blade. This blade I don't think should be customizable and just uses the saber's current crystal. Maybe it can be if you want to cosplay some sort of Jedi hunting Sith who collects trophies, but it's not the biggest deal to me. Anyways, The final swing releases the blade in a custom animation like that of Nukutsuki. Any swings from there do not put the blade away, but now alternate between using the scabbard, using the scabbard's blade, and using the actual blade. For the heavy attack, I think it's best to keep it simple and copy the overhead swing of the Praxic. Now I can already hear someone asking, but hang on, if the blade never turns off, what happens when it runs out of ammo? Well, it's simple. Your Guardian would simply sheath the blade and use the animation of you slapping people with the scabbard. The throw animation also remains the same, though I'd like to see us keep our left hand on the sheath when we recall the blade. This most likely wouldn't be too big an animation issue, as we already only use one hand for the catch animation. The block animation is where things get interesting. This, much like our Shoto lightsaber, is going to work two ways. In PvP, the block animation is the same as the regular Praxic Blade, but in PvE, when you block with the blade, you keep it in the scabbard, and we very suddenly pull the blade out when we need to deflect a projectile. And finally, for our design. I decided to do an interesting mix-up. I originally considered making this to match the Bushido set of armor we already have, but I decided to do a saber based on the Text Mechanica Foundry. Spoilers for if you haven't beaten Renegades, but also, you clicked on this video. In Renegades and in its lore, we find out that Dredge and Bale has been buying items from Text Mechanica under different aliases for the Baron Imperium, but it runs deeper than that. Dredge and Bale is actually the son of the CEO of the Text Mechanica Foundry in the Last City. We can see just how deep his roots run with this foundry when we look at his hilt, and oh yeah, those are just two gun slides glued together with some emo spikes. And while this design is cool, it's not what I imagine when I think Text Mechanica. There's no wood finish anywhere. Where's my custom hammer? On top of this, we can't even get his hilt in game yet. So with all said, I wanted to make an interesting new weapon, the blade of a samurai crafted for a gunslinger, an homage to how similar these styles of movement are. And let me tell ya, I do not think I did it justice. It kind of looks like a blunderbuss, but it has it all. Hammer, holster, multiple wood finishes, and some huckleberry gold and silver accents. As for our crystal, this is where all that energy hit a wall. I wasn't able to make a design I was truly happy with, so I made this. The blade is a gunpowder grey like that of gunpowder. It has an orange smoke effect like that of a gun shot. Wow, I really fucked up this last one. So without further ado, my Ronin Saber. And that's it. Now, I had a ton of fun making these in this video, so if you enjoyed watching, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more D2 content. I also made more concepts like switching up some themes to different sabers and some other foundries. So if you want to see those, they're on my Twitter and probably later will be on my Instagram. Go take a look and tell me what you think. And if you end up designing some of your own, please share them with me. I'd love to see them. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and peace. One of those episodes titled Ronin gave us a samurai-style fight between two sis. Oh my. The final swing releases the blade in a custom animation like that of Nukutsuki. Nukutsu. How do I fucking what's that?
Nukutsuke.
Nukitsuke.
Now I can already hear someone asking, but hang on, if the blade... I'm not doing that voice. In PvP, the animation is the same as the regular... In PvP, the block animation... Now I had a fun ton of making these in this video.